If you're tracking your calories and you're trying to be really conscious of your protein intake, you might see that one day, wow, you ate 120 grams worth of protein. But the huge problem is you probably ate nowhere close to the 120 grams of protein that you think you ate. In fact, it's very possible that you only ate about 60 grams of protein, and that's because your calorie tracker is not telling you the whole story. And if you're looking to maximize for fat loss, boost bone health, and reduce sugar cravings, you need to know how much protein you're actually eating in a day. So today I'm breaking down why your calorie tracker is sort of lying to you and how you can actually tell how much protein you're really eating in a day. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. On my channel, I share the science-backed and delicious details for how you can achieve your weight loss and wellness dreams. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Today's video is also sponsored by Element, but more on them in a bit. Okay, so first let's look at a specific example for why calorie trackers are lying to you. Let's say you started your day off like this. For breakfast, you had a healthy smoothie from one of those plant-based meal delivery services. You made sure to sprinkle in about 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds to get a boost of protein. And then you also paired it with 2 eggs. For lunch, you wanted to further optimize for protein, so you chose a higher protein grain, or rather a pseudo grain like quinoa, and you made it into a bowl with kale and black beans. You had some salsa, some cheese, some sunflower seeds, and then a couple ounces of chicken. For snack, you just grabbed a spoonful or 2 of peanut butter. And then for dinner, you had some whole wheat pasta with some tomato sauce and meatballs. Now, when you look at how this breaks down in a calorie tracker, you will see that you ate 118 grams of protein. But what the calorie tracker is not showing you and can't really show you is that not every protein that you just ate actually acts like a protein in your body. You're not digesting it, absorbing it, or using it to help you keep muscle, build healthy bones, or help you achieve a fat loss goal. All the reasons why you're actually trying to eat more protein in the first place. Now, when you use the information we're going to go over today, you quickly realize that you only ate about 57 grams worth of protein. And that's on a day that you thought you nearly hit 120 grams. Which brings me to the concept of your protein quality. Now, you'll typically hear this as complete or incomplete proteins. Now, this term isn't entirely accurate, but we're just going to stick with it for simplicity's sake. All proteins are made up of something called amino acids. These are like the building blocks of every single protein. Within our body, we have some amino acids that our body can make, but then we have other amino acids that our body can't make. The ones that we can't make, we need to be getting from our diet. And these are called the essential amino acids. And there are 9 essential amino acids. A complete protein contains all 9 of those essential amino acids. It also contains it in the right balance to effectively use them. And we need all of these different amino acids in order to repair our muscle, repair our cells, our tissues, and even to feel full and satisfied and get all of those benefits we're really looking for from protein. Now, some protein-rich foods contain all 9 of those essential amino acids and therefore can actually be used to its full extent as a protein. Whereas other foods that you might consider to be higher in protein might be either missing or really, really low in certain essential amino acids that make it so your body can't really use it in the same way. Now, the best way I've ever heard this described is to think of protein like a cake, and amino acids are the ingredients to make that cake. In order to make the cake, you need the ingredients of eggs, sugar, flour, and butter. Let's say you have 100 pounds of flour, sugar, and butter, but you only have 2 eggs. Even though you have a lot of these other ingredients or a lot of these other amino acids, because you're really low in that one other ingredient of eggs or the other amino acid, you can only make like 1 cake. This is how it works with complete and incomplete proteins as well, because those incomplete proteins are either low or missing that one ingredient or multiple ingredients. You can't really use it in the full extent that you would a complete protein. Now, for the most part, the foods that are considered complete proteins are things like beef, meat, fish, chicken, dairy, and eggs. The only plant-based foods that are usually considered complete are soy and fermented soy products like tempeh. And what's funny is that nearly all other foods that you can eat technically have some amount of protein or some amount of amino acids in it, like almonds and spinach and broccoli, but they're either missing some or low in amino acids that make them complete proteins. So if we take a look back at that day of eating example, you can see that there are a lot of high protein foods that are really actually poor quality proteins and shouldn't really be counted as protein because it's not acting as protein entirely in the same way. Specifically, that would be the foods like the peanut butter, the quinoa, and the hemp seeds. These will artificially boost the total protein content that you're seeing in your calorie tracker to make it look like you're getting a lot more protein than what your body's actually absorbing and using. Now, technically, you can eat enough of all of the different incomplete proteins in order to balance out the amino acids. This is called like complementary pairing. But then we run into 2 huge issues that could potentially ruin your health and body recomposition recomposition results. Now, before we get into that, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Element. Element is an amazing electrolyte company that was specifically created with intermittent fasting, low carb eating, and athletes in mind. It actually contains the sodium, magnesium, and potassium to help balance electrolyte levels, all without having any sugar. I've been using Element since 2021. I love it. As a nutritionist, I know just how important it is to get electrolytes in, to feel my best, to feel energized, and to make sure that I don't get headaches or muscle fatigue. So in the past, before I found Element, I used to just add salt to my water, which I was just not as consistent with because it doesn't taste good to drink salty water. But Element makes it so easy for me to get my electrolytes in because it actually tastes great. My all-time favorite flavor is their grapefruit salt. It's so refreshing, especially during the summer. But they also currently have their limited release summer flavor with their lemonade salt. This flavor has been really perfect, especially during the hot summer days, as a refreshing lemonade alternative while also still getting my electrolytes in. And right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. It's a really great way to test out all 8 flavors, so you can get yours at drinkelement.com/autumn. This is only available through my link, so make sure to check out drinklmnt.com/autumn. The link is also in the description down below. Okay, so on top of this concept of incomplete and complete proteins, we also need to talk about how our body actually digests and absorbs the protein, because this is the other main factor for determining how much protein your body's actually getting from the food that you're eating. And researchers measure this with something called the DIAS score. A score of 1 or higher means that the protein that you're getting from that food is fully absorbed. A score of below 1 means that it's partially absorbed. Now, most plant-based sources of protein have anti-nutrients that block the absorption of protein from being absorbed in your body. So even if a food does have some protein in it, you might only be getting a fraction of that protein that you're absorbing because the anti-nutrients are blocking your body from absorbing it in the first place. So just looking at a nutrition facts label will not tell you the whole story of how much protein you're actually getting from that food. And there was one very recent study that actually put this to the test. They looked at the diets of various long-term vegans, and they found that even though about 70% of them were eating enough total protein, according to just typical calorie tracker information, due to the anti-nutrients and the poor digestibility of those proteins, they found that only about 43% of the participants were actually getting enough of the amino acids in order for their body to thrive. And one big one that was lacking for a lot of the participants was leucine, which this is the amino acid that is most well known for maintaining your muscle mass. It's really important for body recomposition, which is really important for losing fat while keeping muscle. And overall, that's important for maintaining a healthy metabolism. Now, one example of a food that could artificially increase the protein level in your calorie tracker is something like whole wheat. So for example, wheat has a DIAS score of 0.43. So if you're to get 30 grams worth of protein from wheat as measured by your calorie tracker, when you actually factor in how it's digested and absorbed, you're only really getting about 12 to 13 grams of protein from that 30 grams worth of protein from wheat, versus something like salmon, which has a DIAS score of 1, which means when you're eating 30 grams worth of protein from salmon, you are getting all of that 30 grams worth of protein. So here's what and how you should actually count your protein to make sure that you're maximizing your results. Now, if you want to optimize for health and wellness as well as for a fat loss goal, I always recommend making sure that you're familiar with which proteins are considered high quality and only counting those as your protein source. And there are a lot of them. There are animal-based, obviously, there's vegetarian, and there are even plant-based options. You just need to be aware of which ones are actually quality sources of protein. But to help you out and make things really easy, I created a free printable download with all of the high quality proteins on one list. That way you can reference it, know what you should really be centering your meals around in order to maximize for the best quality protein that fits your dietary preferences and needs. So I'll have that link with the free download down description below if you want to check that out. But then where does that leave these other high protein foods like peanuts? Now, if you are using something like a calorie tracker, these will still count as protein within your calorie tracker, but as we've seen, they don't actually really help with your overall goals that the other sources of protein will. At least from a protein perspective, there's still really important things that things like peanut butter or spinach or broccoli can provide to your diet. It's just that protein isn't one of them. These other foods can provide things like fiber or high quality fats to help you feel full and satisfied and to help feed your good gut bacteria. So we still want to be incorporating these in our diet. We just don't want to be considering these as proteins because otherwise you're going to be really missing the mark on how much protein you actually need to support your goals. Now you can check out my grocery haul and what I buy for a week to hit my protein needs with this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love the science-packed and delicious information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out with new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.